Someone can say good points, but if they are inherently, their nature and their character and what they do is immorally wrong, how can you side with someone like that?
That's the whole conversation.
This is where he's becoming so successful with the younger generation, because they might not have the maturity to do that, the understanding to do that. So they're just hearing the good things and running with it. Look, Andrew said this. So that's what I do.
Ignore all the bad things.
And they might ignore everything else.
We live in a proper pretense world where if I don't say the most extreme version of a thing, then it's not going to get any traction, and traction is king.
Please define toxic masculinity.
We live in a world now where chivalry is punished.
So many young men are suicidal and desperate.
I guess there's no toxic feminism.
There's one group of people that says, yes, your life does suck. And that's these toxic masculine people. What are you gonna do about it?
Every woman wants an Andrew Tate sort of guy.
Nah.
Andrew Tate, but I understand your point.
You know what I mean?
I understand.
They don't know what they want. Let's be honest.
No, honestly, I've not met one. What are the elements of Andrew Tate that you're talking about when you're saying women want to be with Andrew Tate?
Why do you like Andrew Tate?
Why you like him?
No, some of the stuff he says makes sense to me.
Like
some of the stuff he says about when he talks about working in yourself and becoming a better man, that stuff I agree with. That makes complete sense to me.
Can you give an? Because I don't like Andrew Tate. I don't listen to him, so I'm not sure of like when you say that. I don't know.
I think
that sounds like
so.
Super
Andrew
generic.
Andrew Tate doesn't just tell men just to chase women. He tells men to actually that is send me a distraction. Go away. Work on yourself. Make yourself the best man you can be.
I'll give you an example of something he actually said. Like So Aiden Ross, which is a streamer, was speaking to Andrew Tate, and he said to him, like, you've got this six-pack and of everything like that. How does a man get a six-pack quickly? And he stops him and he says,
that's your problem.
That's your problem?
Yeah.
Why does everything have to be quick? Why can't you work for it, blah, blah, blah. That is a good point. I don't like nothing that Andrew Tate says, and I'll tell you why, even though that was a good point. I am very scared of people that have good points mixed in with very terrible points, because the good points lure you in, and then you take the good with the horrific. You get what I'm saying? And not, like, I can listen to. I have the mental maturity to listen to Andrew Tate. There are certain people I would never advise to listen to him.
That's a great point, because the younger generation are so impressed.
The younger generation.
They'll take everything.
They'll take everything.
I think as well, like, just because one person like Andrew Tate says one or two good points that you might agree with.
Or even 10.
If he says, 10, 20, 30 other things.
Are you saying he says good things? I'm joking.
If he says, if some people think he says one or two good points, but majority of what he says is absolutely awful, I think you should just not listen to him.
It doesn't have to be majority. Somebody could just be saying one point that's just mad and just proper affects everything. Also, you have to understand that, like, when you look at the evolution, and this is why I say us as men have to stop pretending. If you look at Andrew Tate's older videos, they were wilder than his newer videos, because the more you get into the public eye, the more you have to adapt. It's like, oh snap, this will ruin the bag.
So that's not growth.
It's not growth, it's hiding. There's a difference between growth and hiding. Now I have to hide the wilder things that I said and taught differently. So now, when you're looking at it retrospectively, it's like, okay, I was introduced to the newer version of him, and then I rock with that version, and I'm loyal to that version. So you don't let you ignore the older version. I think the older version is what he's like when the camera is off.
But that's the issue for me, because it's like, someone can say good points, but if they are inherently, their nature and their character and what they do is immorally wrong, how can you side with someone like that?
That's the whole conversation.
I can't do that. You can say
say
stupid things, and you can be a great person. I won't take on what you have to say because you're not saying the right things, but I will level with you as a person.
This is what you guys were saying before about being the same person you are off camera and on camera.
He's not.
And I think that's why I don't agree with what Andrew Tate says, because if he's not the same on and off camera, whether it's 5 years ago or now, then I don't think you should go with it.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. What I can honestly say is I am beyond tired of talking about it. Like, I just think at this point, it only benefits Andrew Tate to talk about Andrew Tate, and I just don't care anymore. Like, I think, like, we know that it's, that is my honest opinion, right? Like, we know that, like, some people are gonna say, he says some good stuff, and they always struggle to say what the good stuff is. But, like, I think also, we know that he said stuff that's really harmful. We know that he says stuff that's, like, really damaging, especially for young people who don't have the critical skills to, like, analyze the different bits and pick and choose. They're just taking the whole thing, the whole pie together. I just think it's nonsense, man. Honestly, like, I think, I wish that I'd, like, come with like some quotes or like had a set of cards to be like, he said this, what do you think about that? He said this, what do you think about that? But like, yeah, it seems like redundant as a conversation, I think, at this point. Like, we're just flogging a dead horse.
Yeah, what has been discussed about Andrew Tate, especially what I just learned, especially what David mentioned, was I was plucking out one or two good things that he was saying. But he mentioned as well having the maturity to sieve out the rest, which I do. But this is where he's becoming so successful with the younger generation, because they might not have the maturity to do that, so the understanding to do that. So they're just hearing the good things and running with it. Look, Andrew said this. So that's what I
ignore
didn't
all the bad things.
And they might ignore everything else.
I think, again, off his point, yeah, he's right. But then again, I believe Andrew Tate, 5 years ago, his videos, reckless. Like, I wouldn't agree with half the things he said, how he approached women, how he spoke about women as well. I don't agree. Now, the way he speaks in his podcast or whatever it is that I'm listening to, he's got a very different tone. If you go and see his 4 years ago and now, it's a very different tone. What makes a bigger difference is how social media puts it out. Because they'll take these small clips, they'll take a certain word, they'll take a certain phrase, they'll go out on social, and now we've painted this picture of him in that way, because he went viral through a lot of small clips of just saying bad things, not good things first.
No, for sure.
And now he does spit a lot of
There's
good
no
things,
context.
but we're not taking that because we've got this image of him of 5 years ago already. He's just, he's saying the wrong things.
Can I say something? Do you think he just had to be that extreme to get the world's attention?
I think so.
Of course.
What,
It's
that's
a
what
performance.
everybody's doing right now.
He has to.
But that shouldn't be the
Why?
narrative.
But that's why I want men to stop pretending.
Yeah.
We live in a proper pretense world
100%.
where if I don't say the most extreme version of a thing, then it's not going to get any traction, and traction is king.
But also,
It's
likewise,
crazy.
if you're not 100% politically correct or with your current opinions that are very popular, and you have a slightly different opinion, you can't have that. It's like
It's
you're
ridiculous.
either too agreeable or too reckless. And I
Yeah,
think
it's ridiculous.
you have to find the kind of balance.
Or you can just take the conversations offline. I don't know why we feel like we have to have. There's certain conversations that I don't think are qualified for the internet.
Yeah.
Those conversations should be had in
Like
real life.
this one. No, I'm joking. Do you know what? I find this conversation like frustrating because on one hand I think I'm so happy that I'm in the room with guys who are able to have a nuanced conversation about this and like apply a critical lens. And in the kids that I work with, that's what I see is just a lack of ability to like separate good from bad. The lack of the knowledge of good and evil. Do you know what I mean? Like they don't know that this bit means, oh, I can believe this bit and not believe this bit. They just believe all of it. And I find that frustrating. I also find it frustrating that we're like spending our time talking about this, but then I also think 2024, men are talking about this. This is a conversation that we have to have.